You won the Xfinity race at Daytona. Can you articulate what that felt like? You've had a few days now.
Well, there's two special moments that stick out in my mind. The first one, and I feel like probably the most important, and I hit on it in the beer toast yesterday, is at the end of the first stage, coming off turn number 4, it was Jeb, then Michael, Justin, and me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming off of turn 4, the sun was just at the perfect angle, and it just made me feel proud to be a small part of junior motorsports at that point, knowing how much work everybody puts in here. Everyone sees the cars on the racetrack, but there's so many people behind those cars that allow us to get on the racetrack. So for us to be 1, 2, 3, 4 in that first stage, although we would have liked it to be at the end of the race, it made me very proud to see all the hard work come together over this past off season. I mean, from staying till 9:30 at night here with the guys, helping them with the trailer, and just seeing the sacrifice and commitment they put into what we love to do on the weekends, it felt very special. So that was the first thing. The second thing was when I got out of the car after doing a burnout and standing up on the roof and looking up and just seeing World Center of Racing and seeing that checker flag and all those people. I mean, that place was packed. You saw it. You saw it. Campers everywhere in the infield for an Xfinity race. That's the most people I've ever seen at an Xfinity race. So it made me feel very excited in the moment, and I tried to soak it all in because when I was racing the K&N Series, I won a couple races, and later in that year I was laying in bed and I was, man, I want to go back to that night and just stand up on that car again and kind of just see the crowd. And that's when I was racing K&N. So ever since that night, I've kind of just tried to take it all into just trying to live the moment and really appreciate the moment and soak it all in.
Yeah, that's so important, and it's hard to do. You win. If you're a racer and you get to this point in your career, you've won races to get there, right? And winning, you sort of get seasoned as a winner to win the race, celebrate that moment, and then you're back to work, and it's almost like you go back to the scoreboard goes back to 0 on Monday, and you have to be reminded that when you win Daytona or when you win your first Xfinity race or your first Cup race, that you don't have to reset that scoreboard right away, and you can take a little moment extra or a little bit of extra time to really understand exactly what you've accomplished. And I think that's important for someone to be there to either remind you, if you can't remind yourself, that in certain circumstances like this particular win, it's okay to rest on it, And I remember Dad came to the window when I won I can't remember whether it was the Xfinity race or the Cup race, both at Texas Motor Speedway. But he said that. He said, make sure you enjoy this. And he was like really adamant, and that's what he meant. He meant like, don't wake up Monday or Tuesday and go, dang, I want to feel that again, right?
Definitely.
Man, I want to go back,
Or I wish I'd have done something that I didn't do.
Do it.
Yeah.
Celebrate it to where you don't need that.
No regrets.
Yes.
You
don't need to go back.
And they were saying, I was doing the celebration, and it was definitely lengthy, and they were saying Secret Service needs you in victory lane. They want to get you out of there. And I mean, I felt like King Kong topped the world right there.
Yeah.
I just won at Daytona, no matter what it may be. You could be racing wheelbarrow races at the infield, but to win in one of the top 3 series in NASCAR, it's something I've never felt before, and that's what I tried to do, is just soak in that experience, because like you told me afterwards, I was about to do the Claire B. Lang interview, and you said, hey man, soak it all in, and you were very adamant about it. Just not a lot of people win Daytona, and you don't win Daytona every year, and so to be able to just try and that was my main focus, is try and live it all up and just enjoy the experience.
That was the best part of it, is that you didn't rush to victory lane, that you
Took your time.
Took your time. I mean, I don't know. I think they had about 2 or 3 interviews already successfully accomplished before you even thought to get back in your car, and that was good, because too much of that stuff is void of that type of emotion. I mean, you're sliding across Dukes of Hazzard style. You're sitting there, you look like Tom Hanks in that movie trying to get fire, to drum up. I mean, you had it all, man. You took it in. It was the best part. It was the best part.
And I'll tell you, Victory Lane we weren't standing around with our hands in our pockets.
Right.
To give you peace of mind, or the next guy, like, everybody in Victory Lane's walking around having conversations and celebrating, and it was kind of, we were all like, he'll get here when he gets here. This is great. Hey, yeah. Bob. Hey, Jim, man.
Good to see
you. Jim. And then you could hear the car getting closer and closer, and him revving and spinning tires and carrying on, and that everybody in Victory Lane's like, oh, here comes the car. I mean, it's really a cool experience.
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of it, and I'll be honest, winning as a driver is unique and not the same, but winning as an owner or a crew member, any kind of a member of a team, is a great feeling. Standing in that Victory Lane amongst all those other people that had a role in it, and to see the driver, you can't wait the driver come in, to see the driver and.
Okay, but all of that is true. But you guys spent a lot of time kind of on your own over the off season, right? I mean, people made a bit of a deal over that you've been seeking Dale Jr.'s advice a lot, and you've been giving it.
Yeah, I talked about this in the post-race media center, and no, you can add. This is how I see it. Like, so, Noah and Dave are the marriage, and Dave is the one probably influencing Noah the most. Then you have Josh Wise, Brandon McReynolds, a lot of other people that have supported and worked with Noah very close day to day. He has a network of good people around him and his friends, his family. Noah calls me when he's out of answers. And Noah will call me and go, I think you can help in this situation. And we'll go to lunch, or, maybe they've had a string of bad runs, and he's like, how do I regain some traction and my confidence or whatever? And maybe he's, challenged with communication or something with maybe him and Dave have gotten off on the wrong path, and the communication's lost, and how to get that back. And so we've had a couple good conversations about that, and it's usually only one a year or whatever, maybe a couple last year. And then he came to me right before he left for Daytona. He was like, he made this sort of list of questions, and he said, I just need a couple hours. And we sat down and talked, and he's like, had this whole list of questions that he wanted to ask about drafting. And we had a couple of pit passes laid out on the table. We're using them as cars.
Not sugar packets?
Not sugar packets.
Got it.
And
stayed off everyone's leg?
Yeah.
Didn't do that? Okay, got it.
So it was just helping him kind of understand where the error was and how I side draft. There's a real precise way that it makes it more effective than just kind of just doing it randomly. There's a way to really stall guys out in particular parts of the racetrack and all that good stuff. So we had some great conversations, and it seemed like he put a lot of that stuff to good use.
Yeah, I definitely think it was very beneficial, and like you said, I got my core group. I have Dave, Brandon, Josh, the guys I lean on, and everybody asks me, I probably get the question once a week from fans and stuff, hey, how is it having Dale Jr. as a boss? And I say, hold on, he's not a boss, he's a leader. And I think there's a big difference between a leader and a boss. And I feel as if you don't micromanage everyone. You have a lot of trust in everybody that works at this company, and you have a lot of trust in Dave Ellens. And so I have a lot of respect for that as a leader of this company, just because you allow the people that you hire to do their jobs because you have a lot of trust in them. And I think that's what that makes this company so great is everybody is working together, and they all know there's a task at hand and a job at hand, and they don't feel like somebody's breathing down their back. Yeah. And that's what makes us this company's so fun to work for.
Real quick, well, you mentioned Brandon Reynolds. That's Larry's boy, and he's not a boy anymore. He's a grown man. But,
it's true, yeah.
And Josh Wise. Just quickly differentiate the two, what their roles are, and how they've helped you.
So Brandon and I, we raced against each other in 2015 in the K&N Series, K&N West, or Arkham Nards West, whatever you want to call it now. But we actually didn't like each other at first. We were at Sonoma last lap, and I say he backed up into my front bumper, and he says that I ran into his back bumper, and he ended up wrecking. We didn't like each other. He would get into me in the next race, and we had a little bit of a rivalry. Well, at the end of 2015, he was driving for Bill McAnally Racing in the Napa 16 car, and he was out of a ride after that season. So we asked him if he would be able to actually come and help me, spot for me, and just kind of be a mentor for me. Being a kid from the West Coast, my family never raced. I'm first-generation racer. Nobody in my family, we didn't have a pathway, and we felt like Brandon had a lot of connections. He was very experienced in the sport. We felt like he was the guy that could help us and kind of lead us in the right direction, help me as a driver grow personally off the track and on the track. And so he started spotting for me in 2016, the full year, and then he's kind of transitioned over the past couple of years from that driver coach spotter to more of a bigger brother and a manager type role, more of the off-track stuff now. And then this past year is when Josh Wise has come in, and he helps me with fitness along with mental side. I'd say he's probably most valuable for just trying to get my mindset in the right place. And I might see him for 5 minutes. Like this past weekend, I saw him for 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes were very valuable, and I try and just listen to whatever he said.
At the track you saw him?
At the track,
okay.
Yeah. And I feel like I work really good with both Brandon and Josh because they've been there. They've done it. I mean, Josh has worked his way up to the cup level and run cup races. And I feel like with me, leaning on guys like that, they're kind of reliving a second career. Hey, this is what I would have done if I could go back and I could be 21 years old again and I could be in your shoes. Here's what I would do. And so just listening to those guys, I've learned a ton. I still have a long way to go, maturity-wise and growing as a person and as a driver. And the mental part of this sport is so big. And I used to go to the racetrack and, hey, I'm going to go drive the car or the truck fast. Well, now it's, okay, here's what I need to do to get from A to B. And I think that's where those guys have really helped me.
I'm glad you said that. That's a perfect segue to what I want to hear from you on the last lap or the last several laps, because I'm wondering if Noah Gragson a year ago races it differently and ultimately isn't able. You lost your teammate in a previous crash, Jeb Burton, who was up there racing with you. Allgaier was already crashed. So take me through the mental approach to that last few laps and that ultimately led you to the win.
It's just about preparation, in my opinion. It's about doing your homework. And I used to think that if you would have asked me last year going into the race, are you 100% prepared? Heck yeah, man. Hell yeah, I'm prepared. I've watched the race, and it goes from watching a race to studying, okay, this guy made this move, but what did he do a lap before to put himself in position to make that move? It takes time. What you don't know, you don't know. And that's where I'd say going back a few years, I kind of struggled being around guys like Kyle Busch, who used to be my old owner. He's very talented, but these guys aren't going to come out and tell you, hey, this is what you need to do. So being around guys like Josh and Brandon, it allows me to, I don't want to say they hold my hand, but it allows me to kind of have a more expedited learning curve than I would before.
But were you concerned? I mean, go back into the race car though for a second. I mean, what was going through your mind as the laps winded down, and how you were going to ensure to win that thing?
I was just thinking about really under caution before the green white checker, 3 to go. I'm thinking, okay, who's in the top 10 right now.
Okay.
What I got: Chase Briscoe,
Yep.
Harrison Burton, the 22, Justin Haley, and then 2 other cars that were they're mediocre cars, but not great. So I knew I was racing those guys. What line is going to be the best line? Am I going to take the bottom? Am I going to take the top with Jeb being there? And then with Briscoe, everything went back to that conversation that I had with Dale earlier in that week, and talking about the fundamentals and technique of side drafting and really being the most efficient side drafting. So with that being said, everything I learned up until that point, I really just tried to fall back to that conversation I had with Dale. And I think if it wasn't for that conversation, I wouldn't have been able to do those efficient side drafts and got the lead, because I feel like I had the weakest line on top of pushers.
Yeah.
And Briscoe's car was very strong. He got clear at a couple points, but that side draft and the fundamentals and technique of that I learned with the conversation with Dale, it all came together, and I was able to execute it out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching that. There were a couple times when I was sitting there watching you on the outside, and you went up the track to create a longer distance instead of lifting, to get back a little further back on his quarter panel to create a stronger side draft and a bit of more of a slingshot rubber band effect. And I knew when you were doing that, I knew you were thinking exactly about the conversation that we had. And it was so fun to see you, putting some of that stuff to work. And I doing that to a guy who I'd actually sit down and had basically the same exact conversation with about a year and a half ago earlier.
Oh, is that
yes.
right?
Yeah, so
With Chase?
Chase came to me and said, "Man, I'm having a real struggle at the plate races, and Boswell was his crew chief, and I've worked with Boswell. Boswell used to drive for us
That's
here
right.
in the Pro Cup.
Really?
Pro Cup, yeah.
That's right.
He used to race our late model in our Pro Cup, so I got a great relationship with him, and he trusted me to talk to Chase about the mentality, and I told Chase about that mentality of trying to lead every lap and wanting, trying to push yourself to be more aggressive, to try to stay toward the front, or push all the time, trying to be, you obviously cannot physically lead every lap, but you can try. If you're trying mentally to do that, I think that's sort of the best defense of staying out of the crap. And so to help him with his mentality, like as soon as you strap into the car, you're like, okay, to the lead. That's the attitude all day. And then we talked about some of the side drafting stuff. So, and he says, he's had some really good results and really feels a lot more confidence in going to those plate races and doing well. But I was a little worried. Yeah. About
what
he
you
knew.
told him.
Yeah, what he
how
knew.
he was going to use it against
right.
Noah.
See, I didn't know you guys have had that conversation.
Yeah, maybe
so
it's good you didn't know that.
That changes everything. But,